Welcome back. You're watching KTN Business Today with me, Abi Agina. And on the side, after this break, of course, we want to bring in one of the key persons from Telkom Kenya. Of course, we'll be talking about the telecommunications space. And just before we get to that, let's briefly recap our Twitter poll question for today, where we were asking you, is the government justified in actually increasing the value-added tax from actually to 16% on petroleum products? That is our Twitter poll question this afternoon. We definitely value your feedback and keep engaging with us on our social media handles. Well, of course, a lot of feedback coming in, but really, one of the big conversations in the country right now is the issue around dominance of one of the players in the industry, and that is Safaricom. Well, Safaricom is on record saying that it is not a crime to be a dominant company, but dominance cannot be challenged in the face of them not abusing it. Well, we shall be having this conversation as well as a look at what Telkom Kenya is planning in relation to growing the company. And I'm now joined by John Barorot, who is the Chief Technical Information Officer at Telkom Kenya. Many thanks for making time for us.
Thank you, Abby.
And Engineer, let's just begin with your view on dominance. As we have been saying, it's a conversation that never seems to end.
So, I think the key thing is that we need to enable the customer to have choice. We need to have competitive service and products. And to be able to do this conversation is centered around the ability to have sustainable business for all of us.
Yes.
For us to be able to provide that choice. But as we do this, we also all need to invest. As we talk about in the last 2 years, Telkom Kenya has invested well over 8 billion shillings on its network to provide that good service to our customers. So we've increased our network size from 1,000 sites from 2 years ago to 1,500. We've invested in 4G, especially in urban areas. So right now we have 358 4G sites. We've stabilized our network in terms of looking at, we have 8,000 kilometers of fiber. Most of it needed a lot of rehabilitation, which we've done heavily in the last 2 years to be able to provide a good service to our customers. We've modernized our core network, both for voice and data. So there's a lot of investment that we continuously, as Telkom Kenya, want to be able to play competitively in this market, that we continue doing so.
All right. And Engineer, allow me to just quickly play in a bite where the Safaricom CEO, Bob Collymore, who spoke sometime last week, just talking about dominance. And let's have that clip, Xavier, if we have it with us. Well, let's listen in on that clip.
Actually, dominance is a matter of fact. If you are more than 50% in a market segment, in this telecommunications sector, you are dominant. And so we've never denied that we're dominant. What the board and the management feel very strongly about is the fact that there is an assumption that we are abusing dominance, whereas in fact, if you look at the Analysis Mason report, it clearly says that there is no sign that we are abusing dominance. If you look at issues such as forced infrastructure sharing, we've never been against infrastructure sharing. In fact, we share infrastructure with both of our mobile operator competitors. What we say is that in the same way that the regulator has given us an obligation to roll out the network, the last time we got a license, we had attached to that an obligation to roll out a number of base stations. When our competitors came a few months later with the same license, their requirements, their obligation was much smaller.
Immediate reactions, Engineer.
So, yes, so in terms of looking at the regulatory environment, we need to have a level playing field for all of us. In terms of investments, all of us have to invest. That's a given, like I said earlier. But there are some things which the regulator need to enable in the marketplace, like, for example, today, interoperability with regard to mobile financial services. Introducing roaming in some of the remote areas, because it will take us a while as we invest. So that's the conversation that, and that's a finding from Analysis Mason, which is an independent consulting firm that came into the country and came up with that report.
All right. Yeah. And still staying with the matters of telecommunications, of course, over and above the question of dominance, Engineer Barorot, Telkom as a company has been also very aggressive when it comes to rolling out the 4G within Nairobi and 3G in counties. Perhaps how will this translate into more business in growing the enterprise for you?
So in Nairobi, in the last couple of months, we've increased our footprint for 4G from 100 base stations to 300 now. And what we see is that we enrich the customer experience, and we're seeing the usage increasing by more than 150% just by increasing our footprint in Nairobi. And this is, we are targeting to provide a good coverage and signal within even Indo. We want to find you wherever you are, especially in urban areas. So this investment of improving the network, and you see there's a whole chain of, other than just building base stations, that you have to put fiber optics, that you have to modernize your core network, that you have to look at your transmission all the way to the rest of the world.
Yes.
So as we did that in the last couple of months in Nairobi, we've seen some huge uptake by our customers in terms of usage, because there's the issue of customer numbers and there's the issue of usage for our customers. So with regard to data, we've seen a huge increase in terms of usage of data in Nairobi after we increased our network by 200 base stations.
All right. And finally, Engineer, what's the outlook for the company now that you're seeing these aggressive investments being made at a time where competition is very cutthroat, especially on pricing?
So as we invest in network, especially new technologies, because everybody now is getting into this new technology. 4G was not around a couple of years ago. So all of us are getting it at around the same time. So as we look at modernizing a network, because we need to look at 4G, you need to look at our transmission network, you need to look at usage of fiber. Like I said earlier, we have over 8,000 kilometers of fiber in the country, which is from the coast all the way to the borders in Uganda, Ethiopia. So there's a lot more that we want to enrich our customer experience. We want customers, when they use our services, they get competitive services just like they will get anywhere, if not better.
All right. Many thanks, Engineer.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time.
Okay.
Well, that is Engineer John Barorot, who is the Chief Technical Information Officer at Telkom Kenya, just trying to break it down for us on some of the key trends in the telecommunication space. And he's quite optimistic that the industry is offering a lot of dynamism, especially in the data business. We'll be keeping an eye on how the business continues to perform. Well, let's take it to Beijing in China, where the Forum on